All right, guys, we're live here from the Alamo. I'm just getting people set up. You can take your time. All right, guys, this is Weston Martinez. We're live from the Alamo. We got some other folks joining in real quick. Y'all stay here for just a second. We've got some new and breaking news from the Alamo. You wouldn't believe this is Texas once in a while. Stand by just 1 second. We got some people joining in. What? Yeah. Okay. So you guys hang on. Share. Hang on. Here we go. Good to see you guys. Boom. Almost there. Hang on. Here we go. Stand by. This is Weston Martinez coming live from the Alamo. Hang on. Here we go. All right, so. All right, guys, this is Weston Martinez. We're coming to you live here from the Alamo. We've got a fun-packed day for you. You guys can see the Alamo right here behind us. Thank y'all for sharing it. Look, let me tell you, if you think our freedoms are not under attack, you are absolutely wrong. We are having a private video with you guys to tell you what's going on with the Alamo. We've got people all across the state are involved. Look, I have been fighting for the Alamo. I'm from the Alamo City. Heck, they nicknamed me Alamo when I was in California a long time ago for a bull riding school. But look, we're here today. We're having just a video update of what's taking place here at the Alamo, and we're letting you know some changes that are going to be made because we saw where they were allowing ashes to be spread at the Alamo, and that was actually not something that we wanted to talk about. Can you get him to unlock that? Can we get him to unlock it, Ramon? And so it was very interesting to watch what took place today. But we're going to talk briefly about our plan for the Alamo, and as Texas Land Commissioner, we're going to make sure that we, citizens of Texas, have the ability to be here anytime we see fit, because this is our country. We already fought for Texas once. We shouldn't have to fight for it again. So let me just tell you real quick. We're talking about let the people pray, and we're talking about, look, as Texas Land Commissioner, former real estate commissioner, we're going to allow people to pray at the Alamo. There are indigenous people that have direct connection to the Alamo, and they have not been able to pray for the last 4 to 5 years. And they were annually having a 30-minute press conference, 30-minute prayer service inside the chapel. And kind of what led us here was there were reports of spontaneous spreading of funeral ashes on the Alamo grounds, and that's rekindled the debate over the current anti-religious climate in the shrine once dedicated to the sacramental activities and prayer. Here's a statement that I made. And look, as Texas Land Commissioner, I'm going to make sure that we are moving Texas forward, that we're protecting the Alamo. I'm pro-life, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-Israel. Most importantly, I'm pro-Texas. And look, as the General Land Office, as chairman and as Texas Land Commissioner, I can tell you that the General Land Office, they've argued in court that the descendants of the Alamo, the defenders and the Mission Indians, should not be allowed to have their prayer services in the chapel, though seemingly in conflict with various court decisions. I can tell you this. When I'm Texas Land Commissioner, I'll allow those groups that are directly and historically tied to the Alamo's time activity to have a service as a mission or a military. Sorry about that. So here we go. So when I'm Texas Land Commissioner, I will allow groups directly and historically tied to the Alamo's time of activity and service as a mission. And the military, the Texas defenders, right, the folks that died inside the Alamo, that they'll be allowed to have their annual prayer services. And we'll limit it to 30 minutes so that the rest of Texas isn't stopped. And, we're only talking about, 7 to 12 groups that really are involved. And I will tell you that I propose that those rules, and I'll propose that we stop the disposal of cremated remains from existing. Known burial sites, we're not going to bury anybody else on the Alamo. We're not going to let anybody to spread their ashes. And I will move for the entire Alamo complex to be designated an official state cemetery of Texas. Look, our shrine of liberty will never be a place of oppression or discrimination on my watch as Texas Land Commissioner. And again, we're going to end the practice of spreading the ashes on the Alamo grounds so that we can actually protect what's going on and try to get y'all to something else here. But what are we going to do? And here's what it boils down to. Look, we're going to end the practice of spreading ashes on the Alamo grounds. We're going to return prayer services to the Alamo. And I'm going to work with the legislature and the city council to return the land around the gazebo and the area around the cenotaph to the state of Texas. Right now, the Alamo Trust is involved. And that's not something that we got too many cooks in the kitchen. You know, when we transfer, I'm going to work on transferring the upkeep and maintenance of the cenotaph to the Texas Land Commission and the General Land Office. Right now, the city of San Antonio is responsible for upkeep and maintenance of the cenotaph, and we are not going to allow them. We're going to work on changing that and going to the legislature to get that changed so that we, the state of Texas, can maintain the cenotaph and take care of it. I'll tell you, there's open records interaction that shows that the Alamo Trust was forwarded the request by the General Land Office for them to allow them to spread the ashes. The other thing is that the individual first reached out to the governor's office. Okay, and look, the person that wanted to have their ashes spread here at the Alamo, they weren't trying to do anything bad or wrong or tear anything up. But you know, we're not going to allow you to commingle the remains of your family with the folks that have already been buried here at the Alamo. It doesn't make sense. And as Texas Land Commissioner, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I can tell you that, again, just a little bit of backstory on this. You know, like I said, this family, and there's been other families that have spread their ashes here. This particular group, they called the governor's office, and they state they were given permission from the governor's office. That might not be totally accurate because it seems like they were sent over to the General Land Office, and the General Land Office forwarded their request to the Alamo. Look, the Alamo is a state antiquities landmark. It has specific boundaries, and where those remains were buried, scattered, are within that boundary. And we got to double check that just to be sure. The Texas Historical Commission did grant a certain portion of the Alamo with cemetery status, and I believe there might be a rule within the Health and Safety Code that says that other remains cannot be discriminatorily scattered in the Alamo. But look, so here's what it boils down to. As Land Commissioner, I'm going to work with the Texas Historical Commission to make sure that all of the Alamo property and the footprint has been designated. Today, we were moved across the street onto the sidewalk. There we go. Stating this is the Alamo property. And I am documenting that the Alamo Rangers directed me that this is the Alamo footprint. We're glad to take it. The Texas General Land Office is glad to take that, and we'll look forward to having that under the Texas Land Office so that we can actually promote the values that are important to us and move this state forward. And again, as Texas Land Commissioner, there's a bunch of stuff that we're in charge of and that we're responsible for. And this is one key component. Obviously, it's all very key. But when we look at what's going on, again, as Texas Land Commissioner, what we're going to do is we're going to work with Texas Historical Commission to make all of this designated a cemetery. I'm going to work with the legislature and the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office and the city council to work on making all of this land officially the state of Texas and nobody else. I'm also going to work on a plan to have the Texas Land Commissioner's office be responsible for the upkeep and the protection of the cenotaph. We're not going to let City of San Antonio have that anymore. And we're going to stop the spreading of ashes on the Alamo grounds. And not only that, but we're also going to make sure that if you do come out here, that you have a right to free speech anywhere that you want, unless you're disrupting an official ceremony. You know, again, we build this update as let people pray. Folks, the people with direct ties to the Alamo are not being allowed to pray in the Alamo. It hasn't been happening for several years. The Alamo is not designated as an actual cemetery for the entire property. Texas Historical Commission and some of those guys have allowed some of it, not all of it. We're going to get all of it designated. And we're also going to take the Alamo cenotaph, and we're going to request that the Texas Land Commission office work on being the one responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the cenotaph, because I just don't think we can trust the liberals in San Antonio, and probably a lot of folks in Austin either. And we're out here with some good friends today that are out here with us protecting our free speech. And look, when we talk about who has been defending the Alamo, thank God it was me along with a bunch of other people. Okay, I wasn't the only one. I was just doing my job. I wasn't looking for a job. All right, but I can tell you I'm ready to serve you on day one. Okay, as a statewide commissioner, as somebody who's sold mineral interests for other people, as somebody who's leased hundreds of thousands of acres of land across the state of Texas, as someone who's worked in the oil and gas business, someone who's worked in the real estate business, as someone who's worked in the infrastructure utility business, I can tell you that I'm ready to do this job and do it well. So we're going to go ahead and sign off real quick. Again, we'll put out a list of all of the bullet points that we talked about. But again, there's nothing general about the General Land Office, and nobody has a better, more concrete, succinct, detailed plan on how we're going to take this property back from the liberals and how we're going to further protect this land so that it can be appreciated by generations and generations to come after us. So again, I apologize for the delay. The Alamo Rangers were given a document by the city of San Antonio that said that they could not allow us to be there, and they tried to move us to a free speech zone. I think the Alamo defenders already died for a free speech zone. So did everybody on the beach in Normandy. So did everybody in Vietnam. So did everybody in Afghanistan. So did everybody in Desert Storm. So did everybody in World War I, World War II. You know, let's go down the list. You know, people died and fought for our rights and privileges. And let me tell you this. As Texas Land Commission, I'm going to make sure we don't have to fight for Texas again. We've already fought for Texas. So we're coming here live from the Alamo. Again, share this with the media. Share this with your friends. This is the most succinct and comprehensive, best way to protect the Alamo, to move forward, and to honor those that have sacrificed from here so that we can be witnessing it. So God bless you. And God bless the great state of Texas. Weston Martinez signing off.